Hello, everyone. Welcome to Three Essential Questions podcast, New Mexico's premier business and nonprofit podcast. I am your host, Pam Myers, and my wonderful co host is the always fabulous Erica Yoakum. We are here today with Sam and Anastasia, and they are representing the John Brown Breakfast Club. So, welcome to you both. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you
you.
for having us.
Yeah.
So
So,
I was
yeah.
saying before we're rolling that one of the best parts about doing this podcast is learning about these people and things and events and nonprofits and everything that we didn't know existed, and I had never heard of what you do. So tell us
Yeah.
what you do,
I'm
please.
gonna leave that up to Sam.
Yeah, we serve food to people first and foremost and provide a space where people can just be. So every single Saturday morning, we serve burritos downtown. We serve about 200 burritos. We have coffee, water. Um, we get donations, so we try to provide those too. So sometimes people give us clothes, blankets, tents, sleeping bags, that kind of thing. And then fairly new development, we started serving pozole in the International District on Sunday afternoons. So we served like giant vat of pozole and also coffee and water and whatever else people have given us to give away.
Wow. How long have you been around?
Me personally, 31 years.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
I know, I'm sorry, but the Breakfast Club started in 2017.
Okay.
So
Wow.
yeah, it's been going for quite a while.
No, it says because you have a Facebook page, not a website, right? And it says the John Brown Breakfast Club is a free breakfast helping our unsheltered and marginalized neighbors in downtown Albuquerque. And um, and so how do how do supporter how do people find you, I guess? Do you always go to the same location, or how does that work?
Yeah, we are in the exact same locations on Saturday and the exact same location every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it would be okay for us to divulge said locations, but we're under the lead bridge next to the transit station off
Mm-hmm.
First and Copper on Saturday mornings, and then we are at Trumbull Park on Sundays.
Yes.
And so we've built up, especially with the lead bridge location, since we've been there since 2016, we've built up a good amount of folks that know if they need a meal on Saturday morning, they can come down and, be greeted with a warm smile, some coffee, and Bert asking them what they want in their burrito.
Ooh,
Wow.
custom made burritos. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have some really great people ready to serve, and uh, far beyond just me and Sam here. We have a far large group of people that are, there every week and committed to just lending a neighborly hand.
Wow.
How many people do you normally serve on any given Saturday?
It varies a lot. Um, and when depending on the weather, depending on uh, sometimes like the time of month, uh, depending on many factors, we'll have more or fewer people. So we usually end up serving everything. We've had maybe a handful of times where we had leftover food, and we usually will make burritos out of the remaining ingredients and then walk around, pass them out, that kind of thing.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, at
That's
least 200 then, because if you serve 200 burritos, there's at least 200 people
Mhm.
showing up every Saturday.
Yeah, and then occasionally we have ingredients and we've run out of tortillas, so we put things in cups so you can, it's
Right.
like a walking taco situation.
Mhm.
Walking taco. I like
Yeah.
that.
And
Okay.
how, where are you getting your, is it private donations that help support your efforts in feeding people? How does that work?
Yeah, we are funded through both the members that are a part of the group itself and come down and help out. And we have outside donors that know what we do and kind of just support what we do. We also have a Substack that's connected to our funding. We have a few options that we use to try to garner some community support. We've made t-shirts before and done those on a donation basis to try to raise funds. And we've made some very cool bandanas that are like kind of limited and only about like 10 people have them. So
Very
just
exclusive.
like very exclusive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
that's-
cool.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
So how is, I mean, I'm going to ask, so you guys are kind of cautious about your everything. So I'm assuming that you get a little bit of pushback from folks out there. Is that why you're cautious about, like you said, I guess it's okay to divulge the location. I'm catching a kind of a vibe that maybe not everyone's as loving and giving as
Mhm.
we would hope.
I think that kind of comes down to some interactions we've had with the city itself. I don't want to go into too much detail or divulge too much, but we've had issues with ordinance the city passes. Currently, the city of Albuquerque is working on like, there's a few ordinances that, you know, here and there might affect what we do, might change, you know, the ability to hand out food for free. There's some cities in the U.S. that have fully made that illegal, and there's some groups like Food Not Bombs, which are designated as terrorist organizations for the stuff they do, which is. But back on the point, we just kind of there's some worry about certain people and how they feel about what we're doing, and yeah, I would just say that's our only worry there.
Mhm. So the city of Albuquerque has not been supportive of your work.
Yeah, I would say they've reached out and said that they like what we do, but then we've had other interactions where they don't seem to like what we do. So it's a little hard to balance. So for the sake of that, our main goal here, our only goal here is to create community and provide food for those who need it. So the most we can do to ensure that, you know, if that means we have to be less branded or, you know, less
Forthcoming is
yeah,
yeah,
the
exactly.
main goal is to ensure that people keep getting fed. So if we have to sacrifice some things to be able to do that, that is the priority. We want to ensure that people, our community, is the priority of this operation.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Can anyone show up and help?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
That's a good question, Erica. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, you know, I'm not in Bernalillo County. I'm down in Valencia County. So I'm always, you know, that's always my thing is like, we're your poor neighbor to the south. Can we, you know, if anybody wanted to come up and help, are we allowed? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And are you an official 501c3 or No.
No, we're
okay?
just
That's okay.
out there free balling.
Uh-huh.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. See a need, fill a need, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. How? Who came up with the idea? I know you said you started a couple several years ago, but who came up with the idea? How did it get started?
I would say it was just a group of people that saw, again, like you're saying, a need for food and community to our unsheltered neighbors, and came together as a group and put it together. And like myself, like you're talking about, I just showed up to an event. These amazing people were there serving burritos and talking about their group. And I was like, oh, can I start helping out? And the next Saturday I'm there. Every Saturday after that I'm there. And now look at me promoting said group on a podcast. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
that's how you know, involved and communal this whole thing is. We're just trying to create an atmosphere of kindness and generosity towards each other, and that's both physically and emotionally. and provide our friends and neighbors with burritos. That being said, too, like, you don't have to be one of our unsheltered neighbors to be fed on Saturdays. We have plenty of folks that, you know, due to food insecurity and how big food insecurity is in New Mexico, and especially in places like District 6 in Albuquerque, you know, we have people that just come by and get food who have houses, and that's totally valid and totally okay. But as long as you are you're kind and respectful and you know, part of this whole operation, doesn't matter where you come from.
Right.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta ask: was there an actual John Brown?
Oh, yes.
Would you like to talk about John Brown?
Yeah, I want to hear.
I would love to talk about
the
John
John
Brown.
Brown Breakfast Club. I want to know. Yeah.
Oh, I meant that more towards Sam.
Yeah, John Brown was an abolitionist in the 1850s. He was part of the Harper's Ferry Rebellion, and kind of has, if you mention John Brown when you're in the South, to this day, people still have very strong feelings. He was kind of a burn it all down kind of guy, which I love. And I personally came to the Breakfast Club in part, like, the reason it called out to me, my grandma grew up in Alabama, and when she was really mad about something, she would say, "John Brown it." And so when I saw John Brown Breakfast Club, I was like, well, I have
There's
to.
your sign.
Wow. Wow.
I wasn't even thinking beyond Albuquerque. I thought there was a guy in Albuquerque named
Right,
John
right,
Brown,
right.
you know?
I'm sure there's a John Brown somewhere here.
Yeah. And if there's a John Brown out there listening to this episode and they want to come be a mascot, let us know.
Ooh.
Let us know. Hit us up on our Facebook page.
Yeah, brand partnership.
Right, yeah. And who prepares
Facebook.
all the burritos and all the food that you give away? How does all that happen?
It's just me.
It's just you. Wow.
Oh, that's nice. Good.
We all
good.
stand
Yeah.
around while Sam just like does all the work.
It's true.
Unbeknownst to the rest of us, she's actually got 6 arms. You know, she's like a
Yeah.
person
You
in
got a
Men in Black
General
too,
Grievous
right? Yeah.
situation going on right here.
Right.
Exactly.
As much as we'd love that to be our option, we all come together and we basically bring our supplies together. We have designated roles, and you know, people
Okay.
bring stuff. It's much like a potluck. I would compare it to, and we just serve it right there and serve the people where they need. Because I've, on a bigger point, the way that I think most help needs to be there is at the ground level, because it's really important to meet people where they're at. Because it's really hard to try to design a schedule and have people trying to come to us for things. We have to figure out where the need is and where we can most effectively fill that need and bring that need to the most amount of people. And that's what we try to do.
Yes, I think we've all seen that the trickle-down theory doesn't exactly work.
Yeah.
There's some guys that still cling to that, but you know.
No. And do you do other things? Do you do other events, or primarily the Saturday morning and then Sunday? You said you're at the park, correct? Yes. Yeah. Okay. And how does Sunday go? Like, what kind of time frame are you? And are you at the park until mention the park again?
Trumbull Park.
Okay, Trumbull Park. And what was your reasoning with going to Trumbull Park on Sunday? Was it just because it's a different location, serves a different community, or?
Yeah, it's kind of what Anastasia was saying about meeting people where they are. Like, we have established ourselves downtown. We have like regulars, and a lot of people come. But we also know there is a lot of need in the International District. And yeah, we just have had an influx of people who got involved, and we have like the stations where we cook the food in the morning, and we realize we have so many people coming that there are just people like standing around, because usually it's like, all right, I'm like cooking tortillas and I want a break, someone can tap in. but it got to be where like there wasn't even enough time for everybody to get a turn. So we figured, yeah, there's a need in the international district. We have enough people. We're established enough that we can spread out. So we scouted locations. We found a place that was like close to the bus line, a place where there was shade, place that was accessible for people using mobility aids. And yeah, now it's going pretty well.
Wow.
Shade. That is something that New Mexico folk think so little about. It's like, don't even get me started on playgrounds built out
Oh
in the
my
middle
God.
of the sun.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's like
My city planning brain, like it hurts walking around so many of these spaces, and you see like shade is one of the biggest ones that I think people just don't even think about.
They cut
Right.
down all the trees.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
around it, but then in the middle where the kids play in the summer, it's 200 degrees on a slide. Like,
Right.
like I don't need my children to be bacon. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Right.
If I can point in like a small little tidbit, like when we first started coming to Trumbull Park, we had this wonderful person, Sam, started noticing that for the first, I think, 2 weeks we were there, we had to ourselves take duct tape and cover up like hazards on these playgrounds. There was like an
Wow.
open, sharp edge thing on something kids were climbing
Oh my
that
God.
Sam noticed, and that we like didn't get fixed until I think like 3 weeks into us doing it or something like that.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
it's stuff like that. It's really small things that I think a lot of the everyday stuff that people use and people rely on can really be neglected in
Mhm.
some of these larger bloated ways of maintenance, I guess I would say.
Mhm.
Right. Wow.
That's pretty cool.
I have to say, I'm very impressed with what you all are doing. It's really amazing that I mean, you're so organized, and all the work that you're doing and all the people that you're serving and providing for. It's amazing and impressive put together.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, I
That's
think
yeah, I love it. I love the see a need, feel a need. That's if
Right.
more people did that, we'd definitely be in better shape. Yeah.
Yeah, world
Yeah.
would be a better place.
Just a thought.
Yeah. Right.
Just
Yeah.
throwing that one out there.
Just throwing out,
Yeah.
yeah.
just
Put that in your
spitballing.
brain a little bit. Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
anything that you would like to add that we haven't touched upon? If you're, I don't know, are you all, imagine you're always open to any volunteers that want to come in, whether they're handing out food or even helping to prep and that kind of thing? Is that?
Mhm.
Yeah. If I could very briefly soapbox, if that's okay.
Please do. Please do, Pam.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think part of the reason we got such a huge influx of people is because things are busted and are getting increasingly more busted and scary. And I think more and more people are realizing that like the systems we have in place are fallible. They feel like unbreakable pillars, and they're just not. And even aside from the breakableness, they just don't take care of us. And yeah, I hope people who are listening or watching or whatever combination will start thinking about that more and think about how you can get involved in community aid, mutual aid, organizing, reading theory, reaching out to your neighbors, because yeah, they're scary times, and
Mhm.
it doesn't have to just be like, oh, everything's so scary and impossible. Like that's also true, but you also have community, and we're out here, and there are other really great groups in Albuquerque and all over the country and the world, and yeah, just look for the helpers, as they
Aw.
say.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and my son keeps saying this to me because, like I said, I'm very happy staying in my little hidey hole here. And my son, who goes to UNM, is like, "Mom, you just need to get out into the world because what we're fed shows such a bleak picture. But when you actually go out and,
Mhm.
boots on the ground, you go out and you talk to people, most people are really good people, and they're willing to talk to you. And, not everybody's a Karen, not everybody's, freaking out and, that type of stuff. Most people are out there. One, they're hoping to stay safe and sane themselves. And
Mhm.
two, they're hoping to keep their family safe and sane. And
Right.
then, the next layer out is their community safe and sane. So most people are living like that. Like, that's the only reason I get behind the wheel of a car, because I know that most people driving don't want to die in a car crash, right? Or are going to do something stupid to endanger their lives or mine. And I think that's how most people live their lives, is they would like to be part of that kind of society, but not this constant, bleh,
Right.
that
Yeah.
we get.
Yeah.
I think some of that definitely ties in with like social media, and that people, like you're saying, are, what I see on my timeline is reality. And
Right.
from my own story and my own life, I spent so much time kind of in that bubble of just like everything outside is so awful and I need to hide myself away. And I there's clearly no one out there that thinks like I do, or, is like seeing the same world that I am. And then you get out there and you involve yourself in one little thing, and it's really scary at first. It's really scary to put your toe in and be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And you get out there and you're like, oh my God, all these people, I have a community now.
Yeah. Oh, you feel that way
Suddenly I
too?
don't feel weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Suddenly I don't feel as weird. Suddenly I don't feel as alone. And I think that's the importance of community and real community in this day and age.
Mhm.
I think that's why things like Me Too exploded the way it did, because it definitely like lifted the veil for a lot of folks, where everyone was like, what do you mean you've been through something like that too? Oh, I thought that was just me.
Right.
So that community is so important. You're right.
Mhm. And conversations like these hopefully will help alleviate and maybe someday end the stigma around being unhoused. Or really, I think, honestly, if I'm going to put this out there as my personal opinion, and I don't know, I hope I'm not offending anybody, but I think the term unhoused is sugarcoating.
Yes.
Really,
Mhm.
people are homeless and they need our support, not for us to ignore them and pretend they don't
Yeah.
exist or sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really hard with a lot of these issues because people feel so unqualified.
Mhm.
It becomes this thing where it's like, I'm not qualified to deal with any of this. I don't know. And I think a lot of it has to do with that stigma. I think there's definitely folks that need a lot more help than others out here. But I think the first step is that first helping hand, or that first willingness to recognize that person. Because I think what kind of ends up getting lost with a lot of these terms, and finding new terms for people, or now they're like I'm trying to remember the term, but somebody has a new one that's like underserved or something. People will try to, I think it's getting around the fact that these are humans. These are just human beings who are trying to survive just like the rest of us.
Right.
And I think people don't see themselves as a part of that. They don't see themselves in a situation where, I think a lot of Americans, in a way, and I don't even think this is just an American thing, but a lot of Americans especially see themselves so more connected to, let's say, like a billionaire or something like that, than they ever could towards a member of the homeless community. When we are so much more closer towards someone in the homeless community than it will ever be to being a billionaire.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, is just not seeing it from, the whole, I guess, old saying of like seeing it from someone else's shoes.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I was going to say, and everybody's qualified to make a burrito. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a small thing, but you show up and you're willing with two hands to help.
Right.
Right. It's small, but it's big. A bunch of small things make a really big thing.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Small efforts make for bigger things. Yeah.
Right. Yep. A small group of people can have a big impact on a community.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Very cool.
thank you both so much for.
I'm going to put your Facebook page back up here. So it's facebook.com/JB Breakfast Club.
Yes. Yeah.
And also, like you
We
said,
need
you're
to do
also on
that.
Instagram. And so go for it. I Googled it, John Brown Breakfast Club, and it popped up all over the place. So it's
Right.
not like you're hard to find,
Right.
at least online. But
Mhm.
the irony is great.
Right.
But yeah, this is so wonderful. And again, glad that we can get you in front of our listeners so that people will go, oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
Existed.
That's so
Right.
cool.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. So
Thank you so
both.
much for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thanks for all the work that you're doing.
Yes, thank you.
Really. Thank you.
And we will see you next time.
Right.
Keep
Thanks,
listening.
everybody, for listening.
Yes.